Well, now, the courage to be happy. 30 years ago, the internationally celebrated Brazilian director Augusto Boal developed a kind of dramatic technique which he calls theatre of the oppressed. Since then, he's toured the world, running workshops for a wide range of people, from landless peasants to members of the Royal Shakespeare Company. Last March, Ray Brown caught up with Augusto Boal in Hebden Bridge in Yorkshire, where Boal had been invited to run a workshop for a group of people with disabilities.
He was a tiny man, and he looked at me and said, "Augusto, what shall I do?" And I said, "I don't know, I'm not an actor." You improvise.
He's like a magic man, I think. He doesn't come as some sort of icon or some sort of idol. He comes and shares it with us and tells us to go and share it with other people.
He's just so peaceful, isn't he? His whole aura is one of peace and happiness. I mean, that's why I find it hard to believe what he went through in prison and torture.
It was boom, cha, boom, cha, boom, cha.
It's early March in Hebden Bridge. A Brazilian sun pierces the rain-soaked, sagging quilt of Pennine cloud. For 26 disabled theatre workers, there's no question why the sky is turning blue. Augusto Boal is in town. He's a guest of a local group called Enabling Theatre, and he'll run a 3-day workshop just for them. I find him by chance, standing in a pool of quizzical contentment, his tumbling white hair shifting in the breeze, weathered face relaxed and smiling.
I really don't know who I am. I know what I do, and perhaps what I do is what I am. What I do is theatre, and I have been doing theatre for about half a century now.
He wears trainers and a black overcoat that almost hides a fading, multicoloured floral shirt. A handsome man of 71, waiting for a taxi in a steep-sided valley town where everything is just around the corner.
I have worked in Africa, in Burkina Faso. I have worked in New York, London, Paris. I have worked in Calcutta with peasants in India.
Working with the landless and disenfranchised of South America, Augusto Boal created a form of theatre which aimed to empower the oppressed. Since then, he's toured the world, developing his approach and widening its application.
Hello! This gentleman has come all the way from Brazil. This is Augusto Boal, who is going to lead the workshop with us.
Direct introduction. Could you get closer? Come. Okay.
What Augusto has shared with me, what I have learnt from Augusto, has guided me in the creation of Enabling Theatre.
Susan Quick, Artistic Director of Enabling Theatre.
We are about encountering, as individuals and as a group, issues of social problems which disable us and seeking solutions at both an individual level and a wider level. And we're about helping society to see us as valid individuals and not just these sort of poor things that you feel sorry for in a corner.
Susan's PhD thesis on African politics was terminated by a serious car accident. The crash left her with head injury, a syndrome of devastating physical and cognitive disabilities. But when one door closes, another opens. In 1980, browsing in a San Francisco bookshop, Susan discovered The Theatre of the Oppressed, Boal's seminal account of a new and radical approach to theatre.
Okay, now I'm going to say action. You start slowly moving inside that ritual, and then I say dialogue, and then you start dialogue with one another. Okay, prepare. Action, slow motion, slow.
What you do is you take a problem and you act that problem out with the other actors.
Tim Gibbons, who, with Susan Quick, founded Enabling Theatre.
You're playing the person who is, say, the protagonist, the one who's being oppressed. So it's usually an oppressive situation. The other actors are playing the oppressors. And then you perform it in front of a group of people, and then other people will present solutions, and they will take your place and act the solutions out. And so you can see new solutions to your problem. You see things from all different points of view. And the sheer fact that you're in a theatre group with other people with various disabilities, we also haven't got the same, but some of us may have similar, you actually feel less isolated.
Okay, and you?
I'm the ice cream salesman.
Ice cream salesman could be outside, no? Outside the theatre selling. We are theatre, we produce theatre, and we use theatrical language. So the theatre of the oppressed is concerned with that. It's concerned with the theatre that we are, not necessarily with the theatre that we make. But when we work in that vision, we discover that it's indifferent if the people have this profession or another profession, is from one country or from another country. But how do I work with singers that are so good singers, or peasants that most of them had never sang before, or people in slums, or people in the Royal Shakespeare Company, or you? We are all humans. So if we are all humans, we have inside the actor and spectator. For me, theatre is to be human, and to be human is to be theatre. And she was in the bathroom. You were shaving in the bathroom. Okay, there was a misunderstanding of interpenetration. So I came here to work with you, but who are you? And what do you want from me? So let's talk a little bit the other side too. Who are you and what you want from these 3 days?
How to put our views across, how to express ourselves, what we feel, to bring what we have inside out.
Okay. Who else wants to say something?
I want to find a way of coming back into myself, because I find myself doing all kinds of things that other people expect of me, and this gets in the way of finding out
what you expect of you.
Yeah.
Disabled people within the society face a lot of oppression, and part of that oppression is that they keep us separate. By coming together and consolidating our sort of views and where we're coming from, maybe that's a much more powerful tool for changing.
Yes.
Alan wants to say something.
Alan's told me that he wants to learn how to use dance to change people's attitudes to disability.
Okay.
I think I want to use forum theatre to help the rest of the world understand that we are all human beings, and we all have disabilities of some sort or another. None of us are perfect.
Yes, and not to feel sorry for the person because has this or that impairment, but feel happy because they are alive.
Yeah.
Because they are producing things. Aha! All of you. Aha! Again. Aha! Another one. All of you. All of you.
In no time, we're in a whirl of seamlessly connected games, exercises, discussion and philosophy.
All of you. Again. Another one.
A handful of carers and signers, dance attendants as wheelchairs whir, joints click, troubled faces crack.
Hey! All of you. Hey! Again.
Disabilities, at first so obvious, lose significance. The room fills with confidence and laughter.
Another one. Hey! All of you. Hey! Again.
He uses theatre to help us explore issues which are problematic for us, both at a practical level and also at a psychological level.
All of you.
You're getting to know people. It's great fun as well. You have a good laugh. You're shutting off some of the senses, following somebody just through noise, with your eyes closed through a room, or you're developing the sense of touch, touching somebody's hands and then finding them again in a room full of people.
Children, they learn how to live doing theatre. They learn how to live playing roles, saying, well, one is going to be the father, the mother, and the child. The other one is going to be the police. The other one is going to be the robber. We learn the roles of the society. And then what is a pity is that after a certain age, they say that this is a childish game. And they only allow people who declare to want to be professionals to go on playing, but the other ones are reduced to the condition of spectators. And we believe that we should not be spectators, neither in the theatre nor in our lives, even less in our lives. We should be actors. And then the theatre of the oppressed is this: we don't have spectators, but we have what we call the spect-actor, is what we are in our real life all of the time.
7 o'clock in the evening. The evening is coming, the night's come, it's falling. What happens at this moment?
The small rehearsal room fills with sculpted bodies as Augusto has the group rapidly reenact their daily rituals.
What you do, what your body does. The sun has gone out. 8 o'clock in the evening. Is there a change? In 1 hour time, other actions have to be taken or not?
I felt like crying lots of the time. I felt like laughing a lot of the time. I felt close to people. You go through the process of get to know you very fast forward. I've had spectacular dreams for 2 nights, and I think that's a sign of it. It is having that liberating effect on your psyche. It touches you on lots of different levels. I mean, I know what things might stimulate me to cry on a conscious level, if you like, but there are also things that are way down there somewhere in my psyche that have come out that who knows what they are, but they're there, they're happening, they're alive.
2 o'clock in the night. Okay, now show what happens with your body, the movements your body makes. Sunday at lunchtime.
The best way of doing theatre of the oppressed is when people themselves do it, and they don't need me. Theatre of the oppressed is the theatre that is inside people and not coming from the outside.
How was it? What did you find out? Let me ask you one question. What did you have in your hands?
One word goes in, it goes straight to my centre, and it resonates. Everything resonates inside, and that's the illumination for me, and that's the beauty of the workshops. It just feels like it's a kind of illumination.
All in the same side.
Day 2. And Augusto has the group chanting in unison.
Now go away from the circle. Doing that. Go away. Now slowly, keep doing it, and slowly change completely to a personal, individualized. Now come back to the center. And now unify. All of you have to make it the same. Try to unify, to make exactly the same.
I think it bonded the group.
And the sound.
I felt the group did feel very bonded, and it did feel safe, to be there.
Keep doing exactly that and go away from the circle.
It's kind of felt a bit tribal to me. And then when you became individual, it was like you're a bit in opposition. So there was this sense of uniting and then opposing in a way.
Now start changing to something personal, something that your body likes, that pleases your body.
It felt quite good because it was actually my rhythm that everybody chose. So it felt really special. It was amazing how, as a group, we just all sensed one rhythm and one movement, and it just happened. It was quite weird, actually.
Almost without noticing, we're divided into 3 groups. Each creates a tableau representing an example of oppression that's recognised and shared by its members. The tableaus become scenes, animated in role play.
That's good. And yes, and we're from the Millennium Dome. We want some reference from the dome, you see. It's important that we include that because it's like an advertising slogan.
This scene strikes a particular chord with Augusto. It shows a performer seeking arts funding. He learns the hard way that there are few free lunches.
Millennium Dome! Yes, that's something. That's getting there.
Something that an ordinary person...
The actor accepts to do things contrary to his beliefs, provided he has the money to do his art. But if he gets the money to do his art, it's not his art anymore. What can we do? Because we have to fight against this kind of ideology, who says, I don't agree, but I do. If you don't agree, don't do it.
Millennium Dome! It's getting there. Nearer.
How was it? They modified a lot.
It was wonderful today, but I don't have any memory of it being anything like that at all yesterday.
It will change totally, but in reality it's the same. It's the same. Because in the image, all those elements were there already.
You know, you engage with it more because it's funny, and through the comedy you're addressing very, very serious issues. I think that's really interesting. It was hilarious, but you can actually see the predicament and you can see the reality of the situation. I think a lot of artists can identify with how you have to compromise yourself.
Many artists that we know in Brazil, they think like that. They believe that it is possible to say things that they don't want to say, provided they can go on stage and say half of the things they want to say. I never did that in my 45 years of professional theatre, but this situation is almost for everyone in Brazil. And here in this country, I believe also. You have to ask for money to produce a play.
Augusto's father was a baker in Rio. He wanted his kids to be professionals. Augusto dragged his feet into industrial chemistry, then fled. His filial loyalty dissolved by idealism and a growing love of theatre.
And I did in Brazil in the beginning, like all of the directors and authors. I wrote plays and I directed plays. I always did a kind of theatre that was upsetting to the power when the power is not democratic, when the power is a dictatorship. They want their word to be heard and no one else have the right to say anything. They called us subversives, but they subverted the natural order because we had a president that had been legally elected, and then they overthrew that president. They were the subversives. And what is curious is that many of them, I would almost say most of them, did not agree with dictatorship either. I remember that in the session of torture that I was submitted, one of them, he said very clearly to me, he said, look, I have nothing against you. I know that you are an artist. I have seen you on television. You are okay. I have nothing against you, but that's my job. And then he tortured me. So they were some horrible people that were cowards. They said to keep their job, they would be even torturers. But that's a bad thing that exists. That people are not consequent with their beliefs, are not consequent with their morals.
Art and idealism are international. Jean-Paul Sartre, Simone de Beauvoir, Arthur Miller and many others learned of Augusto's imprisonment and raised their voices.
I was banned. I had to stay out. And if I tried to go back, I would be in prison again. So I did not go back until the military changed and proclaimed some sort of amnesty. And then I went back for the first time in 1979, but I really went back to live in Brazil in 1986, after 15 years living abroad and working all over the world, which I still do.
Augusto began dramatizing political stories from the day's newspaper. At a critical point, he'd stop the show and ask the audience to suggest ways forward. He called it simultaneous playwriting.
Augusto, what shall I do? And I said, I don't know, I'm not an actor. You improvise.
In 1971, in Peru, he tried the same technique on a story of marital infidelity. One of the audience was infuriated by the actor's repeated attempts to dramatize her suggestion that the wife should have a very clear conversation with her husband. In the end, Augusto invited the woman on stage to show exactly what she meant. And now, in Hebden Bridge, he relives the scene and has himself and his audience wet-eyed with laughter.
She went backstage, there was a broomstick there. She got the broomstick, she grabbed the actor like by here, and he said, I'm going to have a very clear conversation with you, and started hitting him. I do theatre for more than 40 years now. I never saw in my life an actor so sincere when he said, forgive me. And then from that time on I said, no, I'm going to do that. From now on I'm going to do that. I stopped the action and said, come here, show. Use this space that we have. Use the same space which is so powerful to say what you want, what you think, you know. And then we called it forum theater, because in Latin America, when we had a political play, at the end everyone asked for a forum. A forum was a discussion about the play. And then we called forum theatre because it was not after the show. It was the show itself.
Hi, I'm a new employee here and as you know I'm partially deaf. Now I've been to Access to Work...
You don't look deaf. But I'm sorry, I'm too busy. You're really going to have to go into...
I've already been to see Sid and she said you were the person to do that.
Those are who you need to see.
The Hebden Bridge Forum scenes are played and replayed. Here, Janet Tucker relives the day when, as a disability arts officer, she hit the stony face of bureaucracy.
Hello. Hi. I've been to see Access to Work and they've agreed certain pieces of equipment and interpreters. I just need somebody to read through these contracts and sign it so I can send it back to Access to Work.
Nothing to do with me. I'm sorry, I can't help you. You need to speak to Susan. Door next door.
I've already been.
My line manager can help you with that. I can't.
That's enough now.
That's enough now.
No, don't touch him.
Oh, it's been terrible all day.
In the third scene, two wheelchair-bound participants act out their feelings when endlessly frustrated by misguided care workers.
I think give you a call later, yeah? Yeah. It's been awful all day, you know. What is them absolutely, right?
You don't want this sort of thing.
People are wanting to be helpful, they're wanting to be kind, they're wanting to make things all okay, but actually in doing so, they're making things worse.
We won't go there again to see that plastic ball. If you do that sort of thing, you're not going to get taken out again.
Come on, we're going.
And as the person didn't have a verbal communication, they were using their body and tone of voice, the caring person wasn't able to pick up on their form of communication.
Okay, speak. How was it for you who saw it, for you who did it?
It was powerful. Yeah, very moving. Very moving.
I think the most powerful one was Erica's, because when she was playing it straightforwardly, she didn't have a voice really, but when she had a voice, you immediately felt this person and her frustration. I mean, that made it very, very strong.
Can I just say,
Sure.
doing the part, it takes a great deal of emotion.
Sure.
I was nearly breaking down.
It is inevitable, and that's what the art of the theatre is. No? That's why it is beautiful. Then when we do acting, we discover things, and we discover and we get moved.
You know that in England, our culture doesn't show us how to express our distress. And this is something that those of us who are disabled may have difficulty with, that we spend our entire time trying to pretend that we're perfectly fit and healthy.
Yeah, but disabled or non-disabled people spend a lot of time trying to be something that we are not.
Yeah.
All too soon, a taxi arrives to speed him to the airport and to Brazil for his new production of La Traviata. Augusto Boal diffuses waves of emotion with laughter, deflects gratitude from himself to the care workers and signers, accepts parting gifts with grace.
And a t-shirt.
Thank you very, very, very much. Thank you very much.
I'm inspired. I wish I could act all the time. It's so uplifting. One forgets that one has any disabilities. One is just there and playing a part. It's brilliant, isn't it?
From here I go to Lausanne, then I go to Brazil. I stay 3 weeks there, then I go to the United States, Ohio, Los Angeles, Santa Barbara and Denver. And then I go to Brazil, I stay 2 months and go someplace.
The key thing it's done is put me in touch with emotions for 3 days, so I'm consequently completely exhausted. Most of the time we seem to go around with, well, personally speaking, half of me is sort of shut down. It's a sense of, I'm experiencing the world with all of my senses turned on.
Sometimes to be happy is just a step, and it's so easy. Everything that is forbidden, by definition, is possible. Because if it were not possible, it would not be forbidden. It is forbidden to step on the grass, but it's not forbidden to fly over the grass.
Augusto Boal. The Courage to be Happy was compiled and presented by Ray Brown, and the producer was Nigel Atchison. The programme was a Loftus production for BBC Radio 4.